Hi everybody, my name is Mrs. Getson, and today I'm going to do a little mini lesson on our digestive tract. Now I don't have enough time to go into everything that happens when our food is being digested, but we're going to go into just a little bit because I have a fun example of how there's a chemical reaction that goes on right in our mouth when we eat our food. All right, so first question is, what is digestion, right? Well, digestion is the process by which an organism breaks down its food into small units that can be absorbed by the body. This kind of sounds really intense and scientific. So basically what this means is anything that eats food has to break it down into small pieces. That's not very hard. That's kind of simple, isn't it? Now there's 4 main steps to digestion. There's a lot of small details that go along with them that we don't have time to get into today. But the first one is ingestion. We got to take it in, right? We got to get it into our mouth. That's the good part about eating. Then we have the digestion. There's some changes that happen to our food when we digest our food. Then we have the absorption, where our body is going to use all of the vitamins and nutrients that we need, and whatever we don't need gets eliminated. That is also part of our digestion. Now, there are 2 types of digestion because we're going to specifically talk about steps 1 and 2 today. In step 2, there are 2 different things that are going on. First of all, there is the physical digestion. This is where the food is actually being physically broken into smaller pieces. Our teeth are a big component in this, right? Now, the second part is called a chemical digestion. Not only is our body breaking down the food into smaller pieces, it's also going through a chemical change. That chemical change is taking place when we put the food in our mouth and our saliva mixes with the food. And I'm going to do a little experiment in just a second to show you what that looks like. Now, there's a couple big words here. We don't really need to understand them right now. But just so you know, we're going to be working with a food that has a lot of starch in it. Now, starch is in lots of foods that we eat. Potatoes, we have pasta, bread, and we're going to use saltine crackers today. So saltine crackers also have starch. Starch is a polysaccharide, and it needs to be broken down into a monosaccharide. Now, once again, I'm not going to get into the breakdown and what each one of those components mean, but I want you to know that starch needs to change in order for our body to digest it and absorb nutrients from it. So how does this change take place? Now, this is going to be the fun experiment, right? First of all, you need 2 cups. 1 for the physical change that I'm going to show you, and 1 for the chemical change that we talked about just a little bit ago. I'm using these clear cups so that you can see what's going on. You don't need to use clear because you can just look down into them, right? You're going to need a little bit of water. I have some water right here to add to our crackers. We need some crackers, right? I have a couple crackers here. And you're going to need iodine. Now, iodine is the main important component to this experiment. Iodine has a chemical reaction with starch. So when you put iodine on anything, if there is starch in it, it's going to turn it a dark blue. That's how you can tell whether food or anything that you have has starch in it. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make the physical change. That's simple. I'm going to take this cracker and I'm just going to crumble it with my hands. And you can see that down at the bottom, I have just broken up pieces of cracker. That's all it is. I've physically changed the look of the cracker, but I have not chemically changed the cracker. Now, in order to change the chemical, or chemically change the cracker, I have to eat this cracker, but I don't want to swallow it. So if you try this at home, you're going to put this cracker in your mouth and you're going to chew. Now, this might take almost a minute in order for my saliva to work with the cracker and to get it to the consistency that I need it, very liquidy, all right? Now, unfortunately, this is not going to be pretty. I like to tell my students that science is not always pretty. And it doesn't always work out the way we want to, but that's science and that's how we learn. So Give me a minute here. You're going to get to see me chewing a cracker, and then I'm going to spit it back into this other cup. I'll make sure that I don't do that right in your face, right? Because that's kind of gross. But I'll put it back in the cup, and then we'll take the next step to this experiment. So first of all, get some saliva going. All right, let me clean my teeth out a minute here. Now I made that cracker so it was like mush. Normally, you don't chew things for that long. You start the process in your mouth, and when you swallow it and it goes into your stomach, it finishes the process in your stomach. But I want you to see what's going to happen. So I chewed it at a little extra long. So remember the cup that just had the pieces of cracker. I'm going to put a little bit of water. And I'm going to kind of stir around. You can see that it's really just chunks of cracker in water. That's all I got. Now, I'm going to take a little water. I'm going to pour it into the cup where I chewed, and I'm going to swish it really good. I really want to break up that mushed up cracker. You can see that it kind of, you can see little chunks in there, but it's really dissolving in that water, isn't it? Remember, my saliva mixed with the cracker. There was a chemical reaction taking place in my mouth. Okay, so you really can tell the difference between these two, right? We have just the physical change, and then we have the chemical change. It's kind of just a mush, right? Now here comes the fun part. I'm going to put a drop or two of iodine in each of these cups. I'm going to do it first with the physical change, just the cracker that's broken up. If everything works well, you are going to see dark blue in the crackers. So let me put my couple drops. I'm going to stir it up, and look what happened. It turns immediately blue, doesn't it? That's because I have starch. The starch turns blue when you put the iodine in it. I didn't remove any starch from the cracker that I physically broke up. The starch is still in there. Now, if I put some iodine in this cracker, the one that had the chemical reaction with my saliva, it should not turn blue if I chewed it enough. Now, it could be a very light blue if I didn't chew it enough, but let's see what happens. I'm going to put a couple drops in. I'm going to turn it around, and you can see that means that I chewed it enough, and I gave it a good chemical reaction. So you can tell the difference right there. Look, at starch is still in this cracker, no starch. That's what happens in the first part of the digestive system. When you are eating food, your saliva is mixing with the food, breaking it into small parts, usable parts. There's a chemical reaction, and then it goes into the stomach. There's more that happens. If you want to know what else happens, come join me in my classes. You can go to excelsiorclasses.com. My name is Mrs. Getson, and I would love to see you in the fall. See you guys later. Bye.